OneLedger technology, one word, is a new startup in the blockchain field that's from Toronto. And as I know personally, Alex is an expert in big data, cloud, blockchain technology as well. And now he's an expert. What's your title in the company?
Right now I'm the blockchain research and development in OneLedger, and I'm also the technical co-founder of OneLedger.
So OneLedger is a project focusing on cross-chain solutions, and we will have Alex detail their contribution in the field. So let's begin.
Sorry, can I have that? That's the first one. Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm Alex from OneLedger. OneLedger is a blockchain company that's trying to build a universal blockchain protocol, enable the cross-ledger access through business modularization. I am the blockchain research and development, so I we take care of the academic, like the mathematical correctness of our solution for the cross-ledger of blockchain interoperability, and also I participated in the development, so I'm pretty much a developer. I have a question before I can go through. How many of the audience here are developers? Okay, so that's good. And how many of you have owned any cryptocurrency or has used them for trading? Just okay, not bad. And that's good. And how many of you have owned, has hold any blockchain full node, like Bitcoin full node that has the full ledger? Anyone? Okay. So then I will probably describe a little bit more about before I go on, because from the previous presentation I found people sometimes hard to understand the distributed system that's a blockchain it is. So I want to add this before I go on. So for a distributed system that the data is stored distributed in different nodes, so there is a mathematical difficulty for every node have the same picture of the whole network on what is going on. So that's the consensus algorithm trying to solve for the distributed technology, especially for blockchain, that everyone has to be at the same page about what is happening on the network and what's the result. So that when we take ledger, distributed ledger of blockchain as example, when we asking the network, what's my balance at this time? If we don't have the same page in different nodes, maybe we have the problem that I ask this node, say I have $100, and the other node still has $90. And that will cause a problem, as just the question you asked about the centralized determination of the balance versus the distributed determination of what's the balance. So that's a different consensus algorithm trying to solve. And as we see in the market right now, there are different blockchains that solve this problem in different ways. And then this brings to my topic of blockchain interoperability. So why we need cross-chain? First of all, because all the value of the blockchain network of their token is bounded in their system. The digital currency right now on Bitcoin is only valuable on Bitcoin network, and the Ethereum is only valuable on Ethereum network. So if people want to exchange the value in different systems, because different systems solves different problems right now, and they need a way to exchange this value. And I have a question. here comes up. What's the very first type of cross-chain implementation which has been adopted to the world massively right now?
I'm gonna guess it has something to do with Venezuela exchanges.
Yes, good answer.
What is it?
Yes. Exchanges.
Venezuela. Like the people using the currency for everyday use, they need to change Dash for Bitcoin for whatever they can.
Okay, the answer is crypto exchanges. Like our presenter will come later, Huobi is a crypto exchanges. So take this scenario. If Alice wants to exchange his Bitcoin to Ethereum, without exchange, how he do it? He can only find someone named Bob, have the Ethereum, and want to do this swap. And he will send his Bitcoin to Bob, and Bob will send his Ethereum to Alice. So what's the problem here? Because sometimes we cannot find someone we trust in nearby that can guarantee after I send him Bitcoin, he will send me back the Ethereum. And this one. Here comes the usage of exchange. You send your Bitcoin to the exchange Bitcoin wallet, and they send their Ethereum to their Ethereum for the exchange Ethereum wallet, and the exchange help you to do the swap, and then send the Ethereum to your Ethereum wallet, and send your Bitcoin to Bob's Ethereum Bitcoin wallet. This works massively now, but we instead of rely on Bob, we rely on some famous exchange that they have their credit to make sure this happens for you. But is it a more efficient way to doing that? Because this way you have at least two things you need to do. You send your money to the exchange, and you will withdraw your money of Ethereum from the exchange. Either a one shot or even with a distributed way to finish this task. This comes our distributed solution for question and how OneLedger trying to do it. So with a OneLedger public blockchain network, you send this swap transaction to your node or some OneLedger full node that he will use trigger drive the transaction on Bitcoin to a locked place. And then Bob will trigger this swap. You don't need to trust Bob. You find anyone want to do this trade anonymously, and he trigger the same thing. And the OneLedger will also drive this transaction on Ethereum to some lock place. After it finishes the lock, and the network will help you do the swap and trigger the both within to the receive address. And there are a couple of ways people already found out can finish some cross-chain transaction or cross-chain action with different blockchain solutions. I categorize them in this four ways, but you probably see other categorization that have different categorization for different projects underlying. Why? Because those mechanisms can have combination, and we as OneLedger, we ourselves has combination of the different way. Because one technology or one solution solves some aspect of the cross-chain interoperability, but none of them are perfect. By making combination of the different solutions, we get better adoption of the scenario we want to solve. I will give a brief description of different cross-chain technology, how they doing the cross-chain mechanisms. First, in notary schema, as our previous presenter used Ars Corda. It's the centralized notary schema. How to do it is you have different blockchain like network. You have a centralized notary node to notary what's happening between these two chains. And when somebody was querying, it's through this notary node. And we also have multi-sig notary schema. That is still notary, but instead of you have a centralized node to do that, you can distribute this notary to multiple participants. They will sign the notary action, and only after all the participants sign the notary, this is considered as a valid notary action. And that makes the notary not fully centralized, but centralized and decentralized. It's an interesting solution. And it's useful as well. And the second way is sidechain. How is sidechain doing? Is that you have a you have a main blockchain network that you want to use it as a cross-chain transaction. How to do it is that you first lock the asset on the main chain and mirror it on the side chain. And you do whatever you want on the side chain. Maybe multiple transaction, you're transacting like very high speed, because side chain is firstly intention to solve the TPS problem, the transaction per second problem of the main chain of blockchain of Bitcoin. And you do the high volume of transaction, and then you move back what is remain on the side chain to your main account, and the rest is sent to the others. So it's a log, mirror, do transaction, and go back. Unlock, of course. And the hashing locking, it's not directly as a cross-chain transaction, but it's a way of how you lock some asset on the main chain or on any blockchains. So think about this way. If we have two main block network, you want to do the cross-chain transactions. You lock something on one side, and you lock another thing on the other side, and the other people can join this side to get your token, and somehow, after he do this, you can do the other side or the other way around. This is finished cross-chain transaction in an atomic swap way. Say either this lock unlock, this can be unlocked, or if it's not unlocked, he cannot redeem, this one cannot redeem. And the final way is a little bit different. It's a relay. What relay is doing is mostly one-way solution that you either burn on the main chain and you create a new representation of the value of the main chain to happen on the other chain. So relay is mostly for a one-way cross-chain transactions. And you probably noticed that there are projects like Lightning Network. I put it in both ways. And InterLedger, I put it up here and here. Why? Because Lightning Network, it uses hashtag lock to lock token on Bitcoin and do sidechain transaction on Lightning Network itself and move it back. So it's both a sidechain solution for extend the transaction limit of Bitcoin, but also it use hashtag lock to lock the token on Bitcoin to sidechain transactions. And InterLedger, it improved the hashtag lock contract mechanism used by by Lightning Network. It creates a hashtag lock agreement that not only you can use hashtag lock on Bitcoin, but you can use any blockchain that have the hashing locking mechanism and time locking mechanism. So in that way, he can do question transaction not only between Bitcoin derivatives, like use the same code base of Bitcoin, but between any other blockchain support this mechanism. And InterLedger also, how they lock is not by a single like Lightning Network hashtag lock with two signature address. So you have two persons sign the signature, and with the two passphrase you can unlock the contract. But InterLedger try to use multi-signature as a notary schema to lock use a hashing lock mechanism. So we see a lot combination can be happened here to doing the question transactions. And as OneLedger, we currently use we talk about OneLedger. We just released our minimum viable product on June. In that release, we only use hashing locking and drive chain mechanism to finish the atomic swap between Bitcoin and Ethereum. And we are developing our testnet, which will be launched end of this year, and we will finish the sidechain mechanism combined with hashtag lock mechanism. Later next year, we will launch our mainnet. We will finish the sidechain mechanism, the hashtag locking, and multi-signature to have a better solution. I will describe that in more detail later. So what OneLedger is trying to do? OneLedger is a distributed consensus protocol company creating a blockchain that will act as a bridge between blockchains and the enterprise. It not only allows the cross-chain transaction as I described just now, but also we will have a marketplace that developer can deploy their applications right on our blockchain and help the small companies use it to enter the blockchain in a one-stop solution. Like for us, we want the small business owner to the big enterprise. We want to simplify their adoption to the blockchain. As we already noticed, if you are watch blockchain a lot, that there are so many solutions: public chain, private chain, alien chain, and different solutions try to solve different problems in the world, like high-speed transaction, like the micropayment, high-speed transaction, instant finality. So there are so many blockchain world, and all the value of their is bounded by their system because of the consensus algorithm they have. So for the small enterprise, it's so hard for them to adapt to the blockchain world and do research in so many different blockchains and which are doing their real use blockchain to improve their efficiency in the back-end office or use the blockchain as a self-asset audit system. So with OneLedger, we have marketplace. We can we can support centralized system to connect our blockchain and which all the other public blockchains. So we want to be the bridge between the blockchain world and central industry world. So what we provide is an enterprise blockchain gateway. We can have the enterprise central system develop some basic applications on their side and drive the transaction through OneLedger to the other blockchains. And then we have the universal cross-ledger accessibility. As we going on, we will develop different drivers to drive the actions on different public blockchains with our cross-ledger interoperability. And so they don't need to build specific solution for each blockchain. And the third one is intelligent identity management. Because right now the blockchain is all public, not all public. The Bitcoin, Ethereum is public. It's very hard for the enterprise to manage their internal account of the identity. So we want to have this to help the enterprise managing their centralized identity, like security, authentication, authorization internally, but have the easy access to the public chain. And the powerful business modularization, as I mentioned. Developer can develop their modules, the apps, smart contract, and deploy on our marketplace. And enterprise can choose from those modules and easily build a solution for their needs. It's some features. I don't want to go very detailed of each of them, but just take a look. This is our gateway. We provide API, SDK, and one-stop solutions, and centralized system integrations. I want to talk a little bit more about how we make it through this page, because this is our basic architecture. So for the enterprise, they may have their own private blockchain solutions, use Ethereum, use Hyperledger, or the new solutions coming later in the blockchain industry. And they use us as a gateway, and through our OneLedger consensus protocol to finish their publish or drive actions on our chain. And in our OneLedger chain, we'll have our main chain, and we will have our own side chains. So what it will look like? So OneLedger have a main chain that as the supervisor of our OneLedger network, and we have our sidechain, which is specifically bounded to each other public blockchains. For example, we have a Bitcoin sidechain to be the sidechain of Bitcoin, and we'll have Ethereum sidechain to be a sidechain of Ethereum, and probably we'll have a US sidechain to be a sidechain of US. And then what will happen if you want trigger some transaction between Bitcoin and Ethereum? Your transaction will firstly reach to our Bitcoin sidechain and Ethereum sidechain, and these two chains will finish the lock on Bitcoin and the lock on Ethereum, and it will do the swap with a channel between these two sidechains and finish the swap, and after a certain of time it will be reconciled to our main chain as a finite status. For the consensus algorithm we choose, we use a delegate proof of stake as our basement of the consensus. So you can delegate your token to a validator in your network, and the validator will the validator's pool will reach their consensus through a practical Byzantine fault tolerance algorithm, and the validator will get incentive through their validation actions, and you will also benefit from your delegation, of course. And the reason we choose a sidechain as our scalability solution is because we welcome that the blockchain world have like infinity of the blockchain solutions, and with sidechain we have the most scalability to all the possible technologies that will remain in the market in the future. And the more public chain remain in the market, actually OneLedger will benefit, and we can provide value to the industry. This is some feature in our intelligent identity management, like the personal identity, business identity combined with the role in the business itself, and it's a all-in-one identity verification for enterprise. And digital signature, of course, almost come by nature of the crypto wallet. And we think we can, in this way, we can form a hybrid, decentralized web of trust between all the enterprise and the individuals. The business modularization for our feature. Like we have the business tool to form their business solutions based on the module they want from the marketplace, and use this module will be combined to our smart contract language and deploy to the blockchain, a OneLedger blockchain, and it will drive the quad-chain actions based on your usage. This is our current partnership. You can, some of them, like we didn't list all of the partnership here. For example, Eden Chain itself is a blockchain solution. We have also partnership with QuarkChain. They are also trying to build some high transaction speed blockchain solutions. That's all for now. If you have any questions, go ahead.
So there was a couple of terms that I'm confused about. If you could
Yeah.
expand on. So hybrid decentralized. You have a consensus mechanism. Is this open source? Or you running
It's
this as
open
a
source.
service? Is OneLedger going to be running its own servers and everyone has to trust them?
No. It's OneLedger. It's a protocol. Everyone can run this protocol to form a public network like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Yeah.
Second question,
Yeah.
So great infrastructure that the blockchains need. How is this different from something that Ion does?
Ion, okay.
Yeah.
Good question. Ion is, can you go to the categorization page? Yeah. You can see I put Ion here. Ion is more of a delayed solution for the blockchain. So in Ion, it's trying to be like move the assets from one chain to another chain. So it's also more concentrate on the pure decentralized world between different public blockchains. We trying to act as a bridge between blockchain and the centralized enterprise solutions. So we have to be a public chain because we want to be connected with the different public blockchain in a decentralized way, not in a centralized way. And we have we want to give the enterprise solution, enterprise to enter the blockchain. So for that part, if enterprise want to enter the blockchain as an enterprise with his brand, it's in some sense it's a centralized node for himself. Did you get my point?
No, sorry, last 10 seconds I did not understand.
Okay, so in a centralized way, you can have your blockchain as a private blockchain, but even its blockchain, it's a centralized solution. And in the decentralized world, each public blockchain is a decentralized solutions themselves. We want to help the centralized world be bridged to the decentralized world. So we have to be a public blockchain. Every node can be run by anybody using this protocol. But how the centralized point enter the blockchain? We cannot see the data in the centralized systems, but he can provide his system. He can provide his information data through our blockchain to the other chains. It's a feed information action, not a draw from his centralized world. So so we all say our OneLedger will drive the actions in the public blockchains. So that's why we say it's a hybrid, decentralized web of trust.
You showed an API gateway in one of the diagrams. So where is the API gateway hosted?
So
I don't know if this one or one. Yeah, right.
yeah, this one. So the API gateway, for us, this industry, they are in general centralized enterprise, right?
Yeah.
So the gateway must be held by themselves. Otherwise, they cannot trust themselves. They cannot trust the gateway, right? So they can launch their OneLedger node, and OneLedger node will act as a gateway for them, because this node will be a part of OneLedger network.
Okay. So they run a peer node and that becomes the gateway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for themselves.
And then the gateway will have permission to go to your chain?
Yes, of course, he's a part of the network, right? But he's not necessarily who produced the block if he's not a validator.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I know OneLedger was at the job fair, blockchain job fair
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
Can you describe the sort of talent you're looking for right now?
Okay, so right now we are looking for two positions. One is for product manager. We want him has some knowledge on the blockchain. How can blockchain adapt to different enterprise? Of course, we have our own use case, but we want this person have his own mind on how blockchain can adapt to different industry. And he need to understand the blockchain backend technology in general. Otherwise, some question he might find it very hard to respond. The second position is a blockchain engineer we are looking for. Because right now we are still developing our protocol, and we need someone who has experience either in distributed system development or in system or protocol level development. Pretty much low level development experience.
So if there are no questions, we will conclude this presentation
Okay,
from
so
OneLedger.
thank you.
So we have 4 of our 4 speakers finishing their talk. We will give a break. You guys feel free to walk around and maybe go outside, come back.